Hero Ramirez with San Hero.
That's everybody. Item number 2 on the agenda here, and the agenda is available online with all of the minutes. It's available here in the room. Item number 2 is the public comment period. This is the public's ability to speak on any matter of public interest within the jurisdiction, including on the agenda today. Is there anybody for public comment?
I have more of just a question. I think it's going to be covered under item 4, but I just recently rented out a parcel a week ago to my neighbor. And if I would have turned that parcel off and, by the required date, that wouldn't have been an option to me. So I want to make sure that today we'll either discuss now or later how the GSA would want that to be dealt with. And then going forward, what information do I need to record so that I can properly log necessary information to satisfy the GSA that part of the year, being that I'm not in control of it right now, but I'll be taking it back in September or October. So it's only a few months that I gave up this one part. Okay. So that's a good scenario. I feel that the GSA can take a look at it and use to set some policy.
Okay.
I don't know if number 4 is going to cover that or not.
No, number 4 is not going to cover it.
So I guess what I'm getting at is we need to be able to turn parcels on and off throughout the year. Because if I didn't anticipate this, it was just somebody came by and had an idea, and I was like, yeah, I was just going to follow it. But they're going to use only surface water, most likely. Wells would be minimum. So is the GSA, even going to be involved? I don't know. What does the GSA need to know? Do I just run it all as if I'm farming it, even though it's somebody else? How does that work? And if I had turned it off and I wanted to turn it back on, I want that ability.
If you had turned it off, the rule gives you the ability to turn it back on. There's no, if you mark up a parcel as inactive by the deadline at the beginning of the year, you can change your mind at any time during the year. You'd have to notify the GSA because it's in the accounting platform, like what we're monitoring.
Right.
Like we're not monitoring it. So if you don't tell us, then we don't know to monitor it.
Okay.
It's really between you and your tenant.
Right.
On how you want to manage that. If you want to give them access to that parcel in the groundwater accounting platform so they can see the consumption as it's uploaded into the platform. At the end of the year, wherever that platform, that parcel is in whoever's water account, if they're using surface water, you need to upload the surface water to the GSA.
Right.
So the GSA knows, because the GSA is tracking it no matter whether you're farming it or you leased it out to somebody else.
Right. So it seems like it would be easier for it to just remain in my parcel, and I would just maintain control of it, and then I would just pass their information through as if it was me. And that is okay to do?
That is okay to do. Yeah.
Right. Now, I have yet to see where we can upload that right now.
It's not available. We have not turned the surface water uploading on yet because we didn't want to confuse people into thinking that it's time to upload surface water.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we'll do it shortly. We'll do it well before December.
Okay.
When it's due.
So we can turn parcels back on if we've turned them off by January.
Yes.
So what? Okay, so if I had not rented this parcel out, I would be looking to turn it off now.
You have to turn it off for the whole year.
Well, I'm saying I'm saying I disagree with this ruling, this policy.
The 1 year deal?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Because the timing's crap, to be honest. I had every anticipation of farming it this summer. Then we literally had unforeseen circumstances of a war with Iran drive diesel prices through the roof. And I said, no, it ain't gonna work because diesel prices alone are gonna eat my profits. You've got too many other things that are killing everything. So it changed my trajectory of this
How
parcel.
does it change the rule? What do we need to change?
We need to be able to turn
the
parcels
timing
on and off.
Timing.
at least a later date, if not throughout the
I
year.
think I don't think the GSA can necessarily manage on and off throughout the year all the time. I think having a date, and let's say that you didn't end up leasing it and you just made the late determination to follow it,
Right.
then you just make sure, watch the ET on that and make sure that it's zero or close to zero. And
Well,
let
that's what I'm
them
getting
know.
at. How do you watch that?
Oh, you can see it.
What,
Oh, you can
right,
see
but
it.
what's my recourse? Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it accrue.
And if you don't have a crop there.
I'm living
So-
this
so
situation
what am
right
I
now.
supposed to do? I agree with you, Brad. But yeah, I watched that number start to count up. What's my recourse? I can't go in and turn it off. That's what I'm saying. If I can't go in
I
and
think
turn
if
it
you can
off,
prove to the GSA that you're not farming it and using groundwater, it can be appealed to zero.
because this parcel had resprung, green, the yay tall, which would keep dust and dirt from blowing, because this parcel would blow.
That's.
So I don't want to
Precipitation.
Right, but if it grew beyond the precipitation number, that's
Which,
fine.
which the number could grow even if the crop doesn't. We've seen that. That's where these remote sensing.
So I'm running into a similar situation. We have alfalfa and I think I need to shut it off. I
Right.
haven't watered it since last fall, so you can imagine the gopher situation.
Oh, yeah.
But it's growing and I'm waiting for this agreement to go through to find out what's going on. But
you
right
haven't been
now,
irrigating.
I have not been irrigating at all. I cut it one time because we were gonna disc it, $7 diesel. I'd kind of rather not
Yep.
right now until a little bit later because it's not doing anything for me. So I haven't watered it, but how do I prove that I haven't watered it? I don't have a valve going right to the field. It's flood irrigated. I've got two fields like this. And so one in each county and I'm accumulating everything. I'm kind of in limbo in between the two counties. I think I gotta shut them off because I'm not gonna pay $400 an acre foot in Madera if I go over. And I don't wanna use my permanent crop water on alfalfa if it ain't gonna make any money this year. So what is the situation now? I haven't watered it, so I haven't used any water, which is the principle of the whole matter, is to not pump the groundwater.
Right.
So where does this leave me
The
now?
current fallback is meters, but let's not go there. That's a different conversation. Lacey, I think you should probably, or Greg.
Yeah, but-
Right?
But see, I have, all of my wells are connected, so unless I have 1 meter to each, this is the problem. Unless I have 1 meter to each field, it doesn't work. And then I can't tell you what well it's coming from, because there's 4 wells going into the pipeline.
Yeah.
So you put sub-meter on alfalfa
I'm
valve?
joking.
I mean, but it's just,
But great.
What do you think, Greg?
come on, wisdom, give us some.
You guys are struggling with a lot of real life challenges that we're trying to manage around for the GSA. So I think what in this particular case you're talking about, I would for both of those cases that Larkin you're talking about and Blake you're talking about, I would leave the fields on if you're not going to try and do metering because it may not work. And if at the end of or towards the end of the season, you're finding that the effective precip value did not cover, then I would also be anticipating, I would think that you would appeal, because you can appeal the number at the end of the year. And that part of that appeal would be, here's pictures of this field with nothing on it, no growing, and the differential between effective precip calculated for that particular field compared with what its ET may have shown was maybe a few inches difference. And that's like, it seems like it's all within reasonable error bars. But if you're like, hey, it's showing I used 10 more inches, well, now we're gonna all start wondering, did you put one irrigation or two irrigations on it and what really happened? So I think there's an appeal process. So I would leave the field on. I would then see if the effective precip, and we're gonna give another, it's gonna increase here, likely in the June meeting because of the rains we got in April. So that number will go up a little bit, and if that is not getting enough for what the remote sensing is indicating, and we have something that otherwise now would come out of your bucket, then let's look at the appeal process of how to do that. And we're gonna need to refine this a little bit, but I think the turning on and off and these decision processes, that has, yes, we could go back and recalculate stuff, but there's a cost of that. So maybe we put in something that says if you want to do something later in the year and make a change, there's some coverage of the GSA, additional effort to try and go back and refigure that through the gap and whatever needs to come to consensus on. So we want to find something that's going to work for the situations you guys are facing, like, when anticipated crazy diesel costs in January. And so life changes and you have to address that. I get it. So I think right now the appeal process allows you to appeal that the monitored value exceeded what you think it should because you had this field fallow. So if you can help document that action, I think that would be really helpful and
Okay.
in appeal discussion.
Yeah,
How would you suggest I document the alfalfa, since it's gonna grow back? I can disc it, it's gonna grow back anyway. We're gonna have to like root cut it out of there to have it not show
Yeah, I
anything.
wouldn't suggest you would want it to be that extreme. I think it would be, and I don't know what the right answer is, Larkin, but here's a thought. If you're gonna go disk it in, you're gonna take a picture with a photo, a dated photo geolocated that says, I'm right here, I just disked this in. And so then it's kind of showing, look, I'm trying to destroy my crop from using any ET. And that's one indication that you're not applying groundwater to it. Again, all of this is in the context of we only have so much groundwater and we're trying to manage how much that can get used across everybody. And there's always going to be these little variances. And if everybody's working together with trying to, be forthright with here's what's really happening, that I think is the way to go through this. And it'd be fairly simple, maybe a couple photos. And if the number turns out bad towards the end of the year and it's a concern, we file an appeal. It's probably an easy approval. It's a staff level approval unless there's a denial and you want to take it again. And then it has to go to the board. I think that's how we have it set up. So I think the GSA is trying to make this very functional for you, but realizing that we got to, do something here to move forward without just, the trust me everywhere, because that isn't always the case, unfortunately.
I like that you said staff level appeal, Greg. I thought it would have to go before the board, and I was like, oh my God, the board's gonna get inundated. Okay, that
Well,
sounds
I
great.
think I
Try it.
apologize. I am not sitting at my desk with my full rule that I can open up in front of me. Adriel's sitting at my desk actually, so I think he has the rule. I don't think I brought it with me.
I would say some of the trouble with turning on and off and on just kind of at will throughout the year, it really goes back to the groundwater accounting platform and all the calculations that have to take place, like not just you turned it off, but then you got to go back to like every month and turn it off and all that. You've got just lots of parcels just doing that at times that we don't know. It's a lot to track and it's a lot to follow. I think maybe kind of what Greg implied, that keep our January date for those at the beginning of the year who know this field is going to be fallow. And then maybe, we can open it up again in like June. Yeah.
So roughly,
And you've decided you're not irrigating this field after all. So then have another, a 30-day round in June. Then we could just batch them all. And that could actually be a little bit of a quicker process. But I don't want to just leave it open and somebody marks it inactive on, April 2nd. 5 people do it on May 3rd and 10 people do it on June. That's hard to track.
They can't give you a report on who's turning things on and off through the platform, or?
Well, we can, but
every question comes with a cost.
Yeah.
The platform doesn't want to do.
Yeah, like how
they don't want to
many?
check anything for free. They're gonna.
They don't check anything for free.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh.
Cost.
AI can't do it all?
AI.
See, I understand,
Right.
Because I don't.
Isn't it?
Um, we're talking about the inactive delineation, correct?
Yes,
And what you're suggesting is leaving the January 31st, but then also have an update at a different date.
I'm spitballing because it would have to be a change to the rule. The rule specifically says January 31st.
Well, right, one of the things was mentioned by Mike at the meeting is a committee to look at some of these hard dates that are in the rule that don't provide a lot of flexibility to the individual. And I think and I brought it up, there's way too many things that have to happen on January 31st. And in some cases, you only have 45 days from the time that you've let them know on December 15th to determine whether you're going to use open ET or whether you're going to use meters or what. You don't have a lot of time. And so, and that's just one of the things that have to be done on January 31st. I know you need deadlines, but we got to think about some flexibility. I also, once we decide, it'd be nice if there was a little card, laminated card, or a card that people could see. These are all the things you've got to do.
Key dates.
Huh?
Key dates.
Yeah, key dates. Because it's not just informing the GSA staff. You've got a lot of forms to fill out. I mean, multiple forms. And they've all got to be filled out and by such and such a date. So, I mean, that's a challenge we've got to recognize.
So, Bob, I just want to indicate one thing that make sure we're recognizing this. We're trying to run a monitoring of your allocation on a year-by-year basis. So the reason the January 31 comes in is we don't get any of the new Open ET data for the month until like 10 days into February. So that just allows us to say, hey, just ignore it for this parcel. As soon as we start getting into the year, we've got data from January 1 all the way through for that parcel. So then we have to go back out if you're going to turn it back off. So that was part of the reason for doing that at that point in time. I think what Lacey's suggesting or some other possible pathways is some secondary bite at that apple on turning it off. And then you just go remove that data from that parcel. You'd have to modify that, the shapefile that's pulling data and re-pull that data from OpenET for all those past months. So there is a step. But we're trying to look at this as on a year-by-year basis. You guys are growing on a day-by-day basis. So there's obviously going to be some challenges on some of this, on all of the dates. I do like your idea of some sort of FAQs or key dates and actions. If you're going to do this, make sure you fill that out and do this by this date and that kind of stuff. I think that can be helpful. And I also believe that as we kind of move into this, your decision making is going to be more not on your cropping activity, but on your GSA relationship is going to become more routine. Like you'll know certain things are important to the GSA data set and other things are not.
I got a quick pointer question. So from what Lacey was saying, to not to beat the system, but to be within the system, I turn off all my fields because then I'd be like, okay, then that gives me enough time to make the decision by May. Is there a reason that we can't make it April to April instead of May 31st to May 31st? For a couple reasons. So MID, they won't know if they have an allocation for out of season, out of district people, usually until April or May sometimes, if there's not enough water in the dam. So those people can't make a decision if they're going to farm anyway. So it's
Your winter crop's out and your summer crop, if you're going to plant it, but you know what I mean, at that same time. So it's a good turnaround time.
yeah. So if we did it from April to April, then we know by April if there's going to be enough water in the dam for us to farm. Maybe it's not your decision. You want to farm, but you're not going to have surface water to health, so can't make a decision and not knowing if you're gonna have enough surface water to farm with your pumping allocation. Does that make sense, Greg? I'm.
I understand what you're saying, Mike. I think there's lots of different reasons for different dates we can address, and maybe what we should look to do is if this TAC wants to make some recommendations, the board can put together a committee to maybe start digging into some of these, because I think, and which would include more conversation with the TAC here on these questions. I feel like we maybe are not fully, we're not in the best spot today to kind of work through and figure out answers on that. This started out as just a public question from not on the agenda from Blake, which is fine. I'm not trying to say anything, but it's like there's a lot to this. Different dates have different meanings. We got water year issues. We got reporting on state water board filings on water rights. You got things we have to submit up to the state on Sigma and GSA based data. And there's just a lot of different drivers. Yes, you have MIDs, delivery season. You guys have your grower decisions at different points in time. So there are lots of different time steps that we should be thinking through, and we can maybe look to make amendments to this policy. This is a policy that can adapt, but let's start flagging these kind of concerns and desires, and then investigate, well, what are the pros and cons of moving in that way? Because every move we make is going to have another counter effect, just whether that's problematic or not is something that I don't think we're all ready to determine yet. So I like the idea of looking further at some of these dates and maybe getting them all a quick summary version. Here are all the dates that are driving, and understand what's happening at different decision points so we can help with that and think through it. We're not going to solve it right now.
One thought I have, just a suggestion, is that for people in a situation like Larkin and Blake,
Yeah.
where you've made a decision not to irrigate, that was unexpected.
Right.
Would it make sense to offer some kind of notification to the GSA that you're taking this step and not do anything with the counting platform, but just so that there's a bit of a record, so that should appeals come in, then there's some kind of history to that appeal,
Documenting it.
documenting it? Because I think what you would like to avoid is having appeals just coming in sort of out of the blue that the GSA is not in a position to anticipate.
I would say I guess it kind of goes to Lacey's idea of maybe a reopening in June, but some point in time where if you have a change condition, you maybe make a notification. It may or may not change how the accounting platform is going to operate that year, but at least it's on record. That's your point. You aren't just saying, hey, by the way, it's now December. And did I tell you I was actually following that? Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That kind of brings up a point, Greg, because everything else is an accounting at the end of the year, essentially, to make sure that the numbers true up. But this is the only thing that I'm aware of that we have to notify the GSA of in advance, right?
Your metering, notify your metering.
Well, if you're doing meters, like if I'm doing ETs, it's like the only thing I'm having to tell the GSA is in advance is whether I'm trying to follow a field or not, right?
And recall this was done because there was concern that OpenET was potentially going to overestimate the consumption. So you wanted the opportunity to turn those lands off based on a
Right.
decision point. So the GIS shapefile for each field parcel that's going to grab the data from the OpenET supercomputer needs to send some parameters. And so it was going to send those and leave some blank spots where you said, don't worry about calculating this. And,
Right.
and that's why we are allowing that geofencing and turning it off for those purposes. You can always leave it on and, send some sort of documentation that I likely am going to follow this. And if the numbers fall, come out weird, I may appeal. If they don't worry about it. I mean, that's kind of
Well, I think that would satisfy my concerns. Appeal makes sense. I was just thinking trying to lower staff, needs, but I think that that would be a good way to start anyways. Greg, clarification, if you turn a parcel off, you're turning it off to all irrigation water or just groundwater? Because if I turned it off, but and I had it off anyways, but if I only received surface water on that parcel, would that be an issue?
You're still turning it off for everything for monitoring. That's what you're turning it
Okay.
off, monitoring. Because what we would do otherwise is
I wanted
we'd
to
have an
clarify.
ET. Yeah, we would expect you'd say, hey, here's the surface water I delivered that covers that ET.
Right, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, sounds good.
I like Lacey's idea. We can do it in June, May. This solves all the
I
problems.
think the tax should recommend to the subcommittee that you were referring to about, look at all the dates, that this one day, that is what you brought up, and I think your suggestion in Lacey's of really matching the crop year instead of the
Yeah.
calendar year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or the MID timeline.
Which is the crop year, it's
Yeah.
because you're gonna plant corn on it, also have that water. If you don't have the water, you're not gonna plant.
Right. But I'm just scared that people are gonna game the system if we don't change the language. I'm gonna turn them all off.
Yeah.
Because then it gives me an option to turn them back off. What Lacey was saying, the way it reads today,
But they're gonna be monitored. The only game is only gonna work.
no, it's not the game, it's just, it gives me that ability to turn them back on at least. I can turn them back on easily
Anytime.
anytime versus turning them off. That's how they're gonna game the system. It's gonna be way more work for the GSA.
You gotta make sure.
Yeah, I had that same thought. I was like, well, fuck it. January, I'm just gonna turn everything on
Turn
every
everything
year
on,
and I'll
yeah.
turn them back on when I start irrigating.
That's gonna make it way more complicated because then it's gonna be like, who did it, who didn't.
Right.
Like your suggestion, I like it a lot on coming back in May or June. Everybody's gonna know by then, fuel prices, diesel price, fertilizer prices, or if you even have water,
If you're gonna farm.
if you're gonna farm or not. But to make that decision in January is tough.
I think what we're getting at is we're trying to figure out how to make it easier for staff. Either we can try to manage it or we appeal everything and let staff manage it. It's up to the DSA to decide how they want it. How would you guys like to work with that? That's probably the best way to say it.
Can I ask a status question of the groundwater accounting platform?
Yep.
I tried to get on there and there was no way to delineate any of the parcels, riparian or inactive.
So
So,
the
I mean,
inactive,
there's still problems with the platform.
you're not supposed to be able to delineate right now. So the inactive delineations, the deadline was February 28th, and that's what we're talking about, so that's over. And the riparian is, we have to have the development team make it for us. And I had that first meeting last week, so it's not ready to launch yet. When it is ready, we'll open it up. There will be a period of time when it's open that everybody can go in and delineate their riparian areas.
I hope they don't have to appeal because I did all that back in February and I got denied because I didn't have the right categories.
Right.
So now I can't do anything and I'm denied.
You can't do anything yet because the riparian is not open, but the actual making it a riparian delineation has not been created in the platform yet.
And the inactive parcel, the inactive irrigated parcel has been turned off because it's past January 31st. So it gets turned on every year and turned off again. So you can't go add.
Yeah, so you can go back and see, there is a section in the platform where you have your self-reports in your water account, and you can go and click on that and see your returned delineations. But you can't, they're just for viewing. You can't submit.
Just for what?
For viewing. You can't submit them yet, but that's intentional.
When did you say the riparian thing was coming?
I just met with them last week for the first time, so
Still haven't this year.
soon, this year.
But by
This
the
year.
end of the year, it'll all be matched up and the accounts will be.
Yeah, it has to be well before the surface water is input. We have to have the riparian delineated and pulled out. And so I would like to get it open in June and leave it open July, August, maybe close it sometime in September. But It depends on the development team and creating it and making it available, making sure it's ready to go. But I leave it open for a couple months.
The outreach is gonna be very difficult, and I mean, we saw how many farmers missed the supplemental surface water addition. Well, I guess maybe it's to be expected, but maybe a half dozen that day.
6 so far.
Maybe that's just part of doing business. But this data is very important to these folks. They're not engaged on the river. I mean, I know MID, State Water Board, has a very difficult time identifying all the diverters out there. So, I don't know.
When will, I don't even know whether to look at gap anymore. When will, right now it's meaningless. There's no way to track what your consumptive use
Adriel,
is.
can you open and show on the screen a water account? You can look at it. Cause I don't think it's useless right now.
Platform,
The groundwater accounting platform,
crazy useless to me right now.
you think it's completely useless to you?
What am I supposed to do with it?
When will be,
You're tracking your consumption with
I
it.
can't even upload my surface water allotment yet.
Because
I understand
that's
why.
not due till December.
So it's useless to me for now. I have nothing to do with it.
So you don't
These
look,
are gonna be what they're gonna be. And I'm farming as usual because I'm already within allotments. So I'm like, okay, mark it.
You want to change, you want to
Until-
make changes
Yeah,
until.
there's-
I think the groundwater
I would
county
just
platform is good to go. Because we haven't used our surface water yet. So how am I supposed to upload a surface water to the accounting platform if I haven't used it yet?
Well, I've been using surface water, and even last year,
That's about.
I wanted to kind of soft start last year.
Danielle,
I
can you
still can't
close
upload my surface
side,
water usage
make
from
it
last
bigger?
year. What's the point?
We reported it to the GSA and there was,
Not through the platform.
They did.
So, well, but I didn't upload it through the platform.
They did.
No, we,
In the process.
for 2025? No, that's all on you. Your surface water for 2025?
Where did I?
Oh,
upload?
the prior use credits, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
that was all before this was.
My bad.
So there's nothing I've done in the platform yet. Every time I've logged in, it's like, okay, there's nothing there for me to do.
It's just the watch.
Yeah, I would agree with,
That's my consumption, which I can do through OpenET. So that I've yet to use the platform for anything, might be a better way to state it.
I would agree.
I
with-
don't use it yet.
Craig?
I would agree with Blake. The accounting platform is for you to interact with the GSA. It's not a day-to-day or month-to-month farming operation. You can use it. You could also use other tools to kind of track what's going on. But it lets you see what your bucket is. It's going to show you how much rainfall gets. So if you aren't going and paying attention to GSA meetings, you'll see the effective precip number get uploaded. It's where you'll interact with it periodically throughout the year to load your surface water, to maybe mark fields that are going to be inactive, to choose metering or ET monitoring. So it is not, I wouldn't expect people to be going here every day.
I did find out I should have turned one little stack yard off and made that inactive, but I missed it by the February date. Not a big deal, that I'm not worried about this year. I'll get it next year. But as of right now, I'm not even using the platform. It hasn't done anything for me. That's just because, and I understand why we haven't been able to put in surface water yet. But when I log in, I go, okay, well, I'm sustainable in my area. So it's not affecting me. For better or for worse.
And that's perfectly fine. Your interaction with it is you look at it, you got your fields, you got your account set up, you know how much is in your bucket.
Yep.
And you operate that way. You in your head, I would imagine, you're like, I'm going to anticipate this much surface water. I'm anticipating this many acres of crops that are probably going to have an ET, a consumption of ET of applied water, or excuse me, an ET of applied water of X. I got so much surface water, that means I'm going to use this much probably out of my groundwater bucket. And you just watch it. Maybe you check in every once in a while, or you use another tool to kind of see what consumption is looking like.
Yeah, that's a good summary, Greg, of what I'm using the platform.
Yeah, which is fine. So it's not, yeah, it's useful for the purposes of interacting between the GSA and you. You'll upload your surface water data by the date at the end of the year. You'll start the next calendar year with new information if you need to and make some changes, and otherwise you just keep going.
Can I upload my pictures and things to the platform too? Pictures of what? For example, the alfalfa field that's gonna be shaggy and ugly to prove that I haven't cut it? Like, is there like an information, section folder that we can like put
that you
things
can just upload things
that
to?
may be pertinent to you guys or documenting, like we were talking about? Hey, look, this is,
No, you can do it through your help. If you want to document it through the platform, you could do it through the help desk
okay.
and then note the water account number and make your note there. I don't know that you can upload a photo at the help desk though.
So like the cover crops, and this alfalfa situation that I have, you know, they might warrant photos.
I think it'd be taking the photos, keeping them in your own little folder essentially. And then when you appeal at the end of the year, that's when you can submit them. And it's probably gonna be through an email more so than the platform. Right?
I guess I was looking at it more like, you know, documenting the process along the way, so everybody is on the same page. Hey, look, you know, we haven't irrigated this, look at it, see?
Far too many parcels, basin wide.
Contact at
For-
Merced Subbasin Gsa.org.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Email
Send
them.
it there and if the,
I don't know, I like more of like a portal where all my stuff goes, and if you guys wanna look at it, you can look at it, but it's my accounting platform, and so here's the data that you're gonna need for the appeals. Where maybe Lacey doesn't even have to get a hold of me later, she just looks through the folder and says, okay, once a month I see a crappy field, it looks like she's telling the truth. Yep, done.
Yeah, I don't think.
Like an
that's what the
information,
That's not what
an
the
information
platform's gonna
sharing.
let you do right today. It could build out to that in the future, but that's like the
So to
appeal
share-
is not gonna go through the platform.
So to share any information with you, it needs to be at contact.
If you're going through the appeal process, yeah, it's not something you're gonna submit through the platform.
And so I
Not
just,
right now. I mean,
Right.
it's year one. We can't do everything this year.
no, I get that. I'm just thinking as the documentation thing, I think we'll end up playing along as with cover crops and everything else. Do you have it all? Not cover crop, you know, there's no questions at that point. So I don't have to go back through my phone for a half a year and start digging up photos. It's there. You wanna look at it? I'm telling the truth. Here you go. You know?
Greg's hand's still up. Is that remaining from before? Or do you have something?
I took it down and I re-raised it just in case.
Okay,
Flag it
okay.
back up again.
Can we, is there any way for this year, can we open it up? Can we open that date back up to like June for this year to shut off a field? So we don't have so many appeals for the board to deal with at the end? The staff, so the staff can have, so Lacey would have the power to, say, yes, you can turn them off now. So we don't have so many appeals.
This would be a recommendation from TAC to the board to talk about that. This is in the policy that's adopted by the board right now. And so these adjustments just have to formally be suggested and modified. We can't just go do it. I guess that's my point on that, Mike. I wanted to come back to, I think Larkin, your question about being able to just upload things.
Relevant
Right
things.
now, photos kind of get emailed out to the GSA, like for meter data and your meter records and stuff like that. I think it
Yeah.
would be the same thing. The plan, the idea would be there would be the portal, the ability through that gap to be able to then submit it into there. All of that just creates more and more data records in a database that associates with cost of that operation versus sending that to staff and there's a Larkin folder that's got stuff in it that helps you not have to flip back through your phones, 6 months of great images of everything. So where you can email things right now, and I would encourage that should be done maybe like in a monthly or every other month type of thing, not like, hey, it's Thursday to this week and next Tuesday I'm going to send another email. Because then that might get really hard for, especially the staff is really just Lacey, with support with Danielle and some other staff that Lacey can tap at the county. So it's limited.
Yeah, is them running through everybody's emails on a monthly basis less or more work
It's a-
or cost compared to having a server be able to hold photos?
Right. It's a GSA email right now, and it probably is, well, we don't have the functionality is not added into the groundwater accounting platform. It is part of their plan of growth of it. And as more GSAs are adopting this platform, there's like 7 or 8 now, I think. There's even one up in the Sac Valley that's starting to use it. There's more drivers that'll help build some of these tools that then can be used by everybody. And we're not just paying for a complete customization for MSGSA. We're, taking advantage of group cost.
Gotcha.
So right now you're gonna have to email Lacey, the GSA, not Lacey directly,
Yeah.
but the GSA
Yeah,
email.
contact at Merced.
Lacey prefers text messages with this stuff.
Yeah.
Late at night, in the middle of the night, early in the morning.
Whatever time you want.
Communities every time. Well,
Oh, God, could you imagine the text?
Is there anything else for public comment?
Still there?
I think we just make our recommendation and that's it. And probably move on to public comment.
Okay, moving on. Item number 3 is the minutes. June 2nd, September 30th, October 28th, December 16th, January 27th, and March 24th. They're all in the agenda packet. You've seen all of them for the past several months. Would anybody like to approve the minutes, or are there any edits to the minutes that you would like to make before they're approved?
I'll make a motion to approve all of the minutes.
I'll second it with one amendment. If Danielle could spell my last name with always, that'd be great.
Every time we spell your last name, we spell it wrong.
It's with an O, sometimes with an I.
Consistently wrong.
It's all good.
Okay. There's a motion and a second.
You don't have to
All in
correct it or
favor?
anything. I'm like, don't even go back.
Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. With Larkin's name spelled correctly.
Going forward.
Well, we'll go back to.
Yeah.
So we can look really quick. Okay, so the main topic for today was to get a formal recommendation from a quorum of the Soil Advisory Committee on the cover crop policy modification. So at the last meeting, you saw this policy, you recommended that we share it with the Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee. We did share it with the Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee, and they talked about it. I really couldn't give you an answer either way on if this is a thumbs up or not. I think they actually had a discussion about making it a little bit tighter than what you guys were proposing. But I guess all that to say is the board will hear it from you. You guys will present it to them. If you make a formal recommendation, I'll ask that one or two of you guys present it to the board at the meeting that it's on. So it's coming from you, the Technical Advisory Committee. I have the draft here on the table. It's available online for those online. Greg, should we walk through this to remind everybody what this is, or?
Well, I mean, we can just hit it really quick as a summary. There's 2 elements here. One, it would look to add a additional element of effective precip if you have a cover crop that meets a standard. The second piece would be what that standard would look like, and that would be a back in the policy in section 7, we reference a couple of things, including there's a meter calibration requirement right now, and there's a separate document. So we would expect that there would be a pointing to a separate document that is the kind of the requirements to qualify as a cover crop. The only reason for doing that is that would allow that to maybe move and adjust over time without needing to go through and change the policy language itself. So the policy would say we're going to add a certain amount of water if you have a cover crop that meets the specs. Go see chapter 7, and chapter 7 says there is a special document called X that outlines what you have to do. So the details of that, I think the board has some thoughts on what that might look like. We've discussed that in this group before as to what qualifies as cover crop, trying to be flexible, but also trying to recognize that there are instances where you're truly growing a crop and you're harvesting that. You're not just using it as a cover crop for soil health and water retention benefits. But I guess I would not be surprised if people would say there's things that do both, like in instances that do both. So this group, I think, needs to come forward with some language that says, yes, this is kind of, and I think we have some draft language. Is that right? I believe in this
Yes.
packet. Apologize. And then talk about what would be the qualifiers. And this group, I would think TAC should make recommendations as to what would be qualifying. And any adjustments to this current language.
So you guys have seen this for, you've had it for a couple months.
So Lacey, my question, and we talked about it in the last meeting, was cover cropping for 3 consecutive months, okay? Orchards and vineyards, okay? Crops shall be planted and maintained in a manner consistent with locally recognized cover cropping practices pursuant to 722.
Yes,
That's what Greg was talking
that's
about.
what Greg's just talking.
There's gonna be, like in section 7, there would be like some sort of guideline like NRCS or,
But there isn't now.
well, that's what Greg was saying, the board would have to decide whether it's C extension, with a combination of something that they write, but not necessarily something that we want to tackle now, I guess.
Well, I think we
Because
would
you're right,
want
totally
recommendations.
recognized, open for.
It's open for interpretation, right? Because we don't necessarily plant cover crop. We do it every 10 years, but through seeds and whatnot, they tend to come back. We use it for soil erosion. A big thing for us is soil erosion. Nowhere in the CDFA HSI, Healthy Soils, HSP is for soil erosion.
That would be something that would be in that set 7.2.2. Those are the guidelines
Yeah.
that Greg was referring to.
So
I don't
we're,
know if we should, you think we should hold off and come up with that guideline and recommend one?
I would, just because if we're gonna be putting this in front of the board, we're putting it in front of a question. We don't know language we need to put in here without knowing what 722 looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it opens up to a lot of appeals of what is locally recognized without having that final 7.2.
Could it be that appeals could be a benefit over the next couple of years? That you could use the
Work out the
appeals
detail.
to work out the details of those 722.
You don't want to more to work out.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of their decision. If they wanted to go this route,
I
Not gonna
disagree.
stop
I think it's our job,
Yeah.
or if there's even better, if there's these experts that call cover crop, whether it's NRCS or CDFA or whoever I guess we're gonna make this, we can exclude what we think would be the best guideline.
Why can't you use both?
Or all,
Why can't you use all of them? Like, hey, you fall under
this or
the
this.
NRCS category, the healthy soils, or, whatever.
we've got a.
The pollinator habitat program also has cover crop, different qualifications.
Could we also make recommendations of what we think 722 should contain? Because we've got
Yes.
a form today.
Yes.
We could go that route and say, So we could promote this and say, and we think 722.
It's all the recommendations, we can say we recommend 722. Well,
Be sure to contain these items.
the section includes this and the reference 722.
Exactly.
I just don't know if we have enough information. I appreciate what we're trying to do, but I haven't researched
The
the
differences,
differences in all of them, right?
well, we could suggest a couple of them that we've made today.
Yeah.
Because it's just a recommendation.
Yep, yep.
And by the time we actually do it.
I understand.
I think a lot of the differences end up being in the reporting more than the practice itself.
It's nuanced.
By the time, so CDFA requires more different reporting than NRCS. So NRCS usually just comes out, checks everything, wants a couple of receipts.
Yeah.
And looks it over once over, okay, good. CDFA wants, soil tests, they want pictures geotagged, they want receipts, they
Right.
want all of that.
What I'm getting at is, like, for my instance, we're not tied to CDFA or NRCS,
Right.
right?
But you would still be following the guidelines, whether you're getting paid by them or not.
Well, all we want.
You see what I'm saying?
But nowhere in there was I able to find erosion.
You might look in the pollinator habitat program, because I think that there's erosion in there. I know that they
That's
pay
what I'm getting
for,
at. How
for
can we-
windbreaks and things
Yeah,
like that.
How can we make a recommendation to 722 if we don't have one?
Cause I think if you did,
And then we-
if you did like three different things, so NRCS has their set of rules, pollinator habitat has their set of rules, and then the healthy soils has its set of rules. If you fall under one of those three set of rules, then you're covered. You know what I'm saying? So you could just recommend as a whole, this is this guideline, maybe you're following this guideline, I'm following this guideline, but it's still a cover crop recommended guideline by the people that do.
But you're not doing any report.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
What he was asking the difference between the different, most of
Yeah.
most of it's not the practices in the field. Most of it is how you're gonna report back to the people to prove that you had it. So in our case, it's basically just the practices in the field. If you said this is the practices that each of these things do, if you fall under one of those categories, you're covered. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
And then you don't have to write the rules. They're already written out. There's 3 or 4 different programs that cover all this crap, and you're done.
Mhm.
And then if you have to apply or appeal, I should say, then you go up and say, hey, look, this is the one that I'm following. See how I followed it? And it's maybe not NRCS, maybe it's the pollinator habitat, but it's what you were doing, and it's still the same, moral, the idea. It's the same idea, the same practice.
So how about we pass some sort of motion today that includes a recommendation 7.2.2, include NRCS, CDFA, or any other that, and then assign a couple people to do the research to come up with a list between now and the next one.
I got a few of those.
You probably, I sound like you have, I did some research like a month ago, and found a couple of them.
If my phone were
And you did too, I can
compared.
tell, you've been looking into this. And this is kind of your deal.
I started it, you finished it.
I don't care, I mean, I think it's. I do agree with your comment about getting more definition on 7.2. Really, I think it helps the board. Gives it a little bit more to. Quicker to making a decision.
There's
Trying to
NRCS,
expedite
CDFA, what else is out
Pollinators.
Pollinator.
Well, there's like Xerces and those people have their own thing, but like, they usually kind of run under CDFA and the other people, so CDFA will usually kind of pimp you out to Xerces. They'll help you pick out your plants and all these things.
What's that?
There's the pollinator habitat program, that's through CDFA,
Almond Alliance.
and that, the Almond Alliance has one. The Healthy Soils program is through CDFA. Both of those have cover crops in them.
Does,
What I'm trying to do is gather all this information so we can create a sentence to give the
Yeah.
list.
Sure.
So.
Pollinator habitat program,
Pollinator habitat,
Healthy-
Alliance.
Healthy Soils program.
what's the waterway one? Drawing a blank.
No.
Waterway.
You know what I'm talking about? It's
think I
the drainage,
Yeah.
I know it's mentioned in that, cover cropping for, rainwater runoff.
Is it the, like with NRCS,
You know what I'm talking about?
is it the like highly erodible lands?
Yes.
Yeah, HEL, and then that's what you're, right. That might be under the
Cause I know cover croppings in that.
highly erodible lands program. And that's with the USDA or, cause like some of our stuff is classified as that for like near rivers. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm thinking of. I just can't come up with the alphabet soup.
Yeah, I think it's highly erodible lands, but it's probably in the USDA.
Yeah, we were to try and get this into a sentence
NRCS,
for Lacey.
Well, it's gonna be one of us, two of us going up in front of the board, not Lacey. We just got.
Well, don't we need to, don't we
For
need
today,
to log
yeah.
something out of this
Yeah.
room right now?
Yes.
We need to write something in.
It doesn't have to be short.
No, right, that's my point. So we just basically say that we want to recommend this paper. And we would,
One, 7.2.
722 should include recommendations made by NRCS, CDFA, or any other government agency that allows for the cover cropping guidelines. Some, they can be from pollinator habitat, almond alliance, healthiest soils, or highly erodible lands, writing.
I second the motion.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's what we're after, right, Greg?
Yep.
Yeah.
We on the right track, Greg?
What else, Lacey?
Was that a motion
Mm-hmm.
and a second?
Yeah, I made the motion, I roughly worded it, I could word it.
No, I got it.
Okay, and Brian seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Wait, real quick, what about the additional adjustment factor? How are we gonna determine what that is?
What do you mean?
That's just on the rain, isn't it?
On page 2.
Oh. I forgot.
Okay.
All right, what, my one question, how does, I guess I should have did this before I seconded the motion. How do these factors compare to East Turlock that they passed? 'Cause they have, we thought we were doing something first time and they were ahead.
They are at, 20%.
Is it much different?
Is it a 20% increase in precept? I don't know. I'd have to look at their policy.
I never compare
Yeah. I don't know.
It's pretty much it's Whittier and Dyer, Dyer and distance.
Okay, but the cover crop is a 20% increase in the precipitation.
Yes.
And so
So it's not really.
it's not exactly the same, but between 9 and 12 inches, you can get an extra 2. That's about 28%.
There you go.
Yeah, pretty close.
Later. Yeah.
So just as an FYI, I just pulled up East Turlock again. They have a cap of 12 inches at all points in time, and they basically said there's a scaling factor depending on the year type, and you would get, just as an example, in a normal or dry year without, I'm doing a quick review and read of this, so bear with me if I have it slightly off. Without cover crop, you get 0.71 of the precip. And with a cover crop, you get 0.85, never to exceed 12 inches. Our rule that's being discussed is actually going beyond that, especially when you have a year that you might get 20 inches of rain, like have had, or 16 inches or something like that. We aren't maxing you out. Obviously, the max is always can never exceed the rain, but.
Well, I can appreciate that, Greg. And you guys went through a lot of work to come up with that wording. Thought it was fair.
Yeah, so just a reminder on East Turlock, it did make an adjustment, give you a little bit more percentage of the rainfall. But it's always still a fraction. So even if you have a 9-inch year, you're only getting 85% of that 9 inches, where our policy is 100%, even regardless of cover crop if you're less than 9 inches. And then cover crop, you get the same. There's no differential when we're on low water years. Crops are using everything.
I say we stick with what we have.
Okay, so next step is you guys would pick who you want to present this to the board. I can put it on the agenda in June, there's time. Just a heads up, Dan Harrell will not be at the board meeting in June. If you guys
Not
wanna,
online either.
not online either, they're not available at all. So if you guys wanna do it in June, or we could do it in another month when you're available, if you wanna pick who you want your presenter to be.
Well, if the board asks questions, are you prepared to answer most of them?
Are you prepared to answer most of them? Because the recommendation is gonna come from you guys.
What do you guys think?
I say Brad and Ben.
But should we do it without Suzanne and Jared, without Greg, or?
We could wait, I say wait, let's wait another month.
Because I mean, we can describe what's here, but the nuances of the allocation program, all this stuff that I can't talk about off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of it I can, but I'm questioning myself.
But I mean, would we be expected to be able to do all that?
I think you're not expected to be a
Right.
technical
Expert.
consultant,
Be
but
expert.
you're expected to know what you're asking for.
Would the board appreciate an update on what TAC is working on with more information to follow?
We should do our recommendation. Let's just go ahead and do it. Wait.
Yeah, let's do it, but I,
Let's do it.
but I do think that the two of you are the
Yes.
most up to date on this information if they were to have questions.
I second
Not,
that.
not trying to throw you under the bus, but here's the bus.
Boom.
Um,
How's those?
Well, no.
Both.
Well, no, definitely two. We can go do it, but what about me and Michael, who Brazil brought it up?
Even
No,
better.
no, you. No, you've got a lot of.
Hey, remember, if somebody. Valid.
You're gonna have more questions than I will. You have,
It's not
you
about
have a
questions.
unique
It's not questions.
situation. No, you do it. You're a better speaker than I am. No.
We're from Stevenson. That is super. We don't even know what time this week.
Someone's been questioning the board on a lot of their decision making.
Yeah, Ben questioning.
Now that you're missing them.
Yes. Oh.
So do we want to put Ben up there advocating?
I don't think you do.
No, we do.
It's,
At the tone.
I can't even guarantee, if I could guarantee I'd be at the meeting. I would go.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not selling them out.
No, that's
We're
great.
trying to come up with the best strategy for this.
I just don't know that I can
Any
be
of
there.
us are. Come on.
Yeah, I just don't know that I can be there as my catch.
Oh, yeah, we gotta do that.
That's
It's very
my problem.
ineffective.
That's my
If you're not
problem.
there.
Like literally, I didn't know I was gonna make this meeting until 10 minutes before I left for it. I finally got my water 4 days late,
I mean,
so.
Larkin did a good job.
Oh, no, you're pinning this on me now. Oh, you're quiet.
two cover crop farmers. You guys.
yeah, I-
Larkin, you know a
You
lot
guys.
more. I'm not I just started with the cover crop because I live in the wide area. I farm in the wide area and now I'm
They're
leaving.
telling you, they're telling you.
I didn't know about all these programs. I've never applied for one and we've had trees now planted for 5 years. We've never applied for any of these cover crops, but now I'm learning a lot more, and now that I have ground that I don't want to farm for whatever reason, I
If the
want.
two of you are going up together and they start asking questions, you can cover for him, make him.
He could. Larkin knows a lot more about cover crops than I do.
I think me and one of you two.
Larkin's good.
Or.
English is my second language.
Um,
Yeah.
She knows a lot about.
Larkin, can you be there?
When is it? I,
First, third, no, third.
Are you talking about June or
The
July?
11th.
June is June 11th. Second Thursday.
Starts at 2.
Brad, if they're not there, I'll go with you.
Yeah, I know, it's not the end of the world.
Differentiate between the two
It's a little bit.
things. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not tax.
I can try to be a backup for you guys if I can make the meeting.
It's not the end of the world if we make a last decision.
Yeah.
So,
Me and one
for you guys.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll talk about how. I appreciate it more if it's a farmer-led conversation.
You talk to a lot of people though too.
I think you've got a lot of insights that we don't have.
Yes.
I think so too. and
Like,
that's why
I'm sitting here
happy.
writing down all her alphabet soups going. Oh,
You-
are you crazy? But the difference is I'm not here to farm the government. That's,
Well,
I've
You're
never
helping,
done
you're
it.
helping the environment, you're pollinators, it's
Yeah.
really good for the environment to just stop erosion.
Do you want the cover crop specs for NRCS?
You can send to me, I think I have the NRCS one, some of the oddball ones that you were mentioning that I probably don't have.
I was looking at them and most of them refer back to NRCS. Okay, so they have different reporting classifications and then they have different payment classifications.
Is that what we're gonna do, Greg? What do you wanna do on the, at least for this year, to give farmers a little bit more time to turn off their fields, or just let them appeal at the end of the year?
Are we going back to that public comment?
Back to public comment.
In all seriousness, though, are we done with this agenda item before I try and answer your question,
Well,
Mike?
so we're not quite done. Do you guys want this language to be posted in the agenda with the notice that the TAC is gonna give a presentation?
I think so.
Do you want to draft up a couple paragraphs of like a summary report to be from a TAC member to be included in the agenda packet? Usually there's like a staff report from me, but since this is coming from you, do you want to draft up a couple paragraphs from?
I can do that.
I'd recommend.
Great, because I was gonna say, you're not making us want to have quorums all the time.
And that's summary we can.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna put it, in the summary is where you're gonna put in, and we think that section 7.2.2 should include NRCS, BDFA, whatever your list is.
We're gonna write it up a little better.
No,
Okay,
it's
I sent
not-
it to Brad. Since he's done.
Yeah.
These guys. She was writing. And I literally just went,
I just sent you the NRCS 340 thing.
Okay.
But most of the other,
You see.
most of the other programs seem to refer back to that for the qualifications. And then, like I said, the implementation and the payment and then the recording of it is different. So it looks like the NRCS CPS 340 is, it all goes back to that. So I think that's the one. Is that the one you looked up too, Ben, or did you look, that's the one you looked up? Ben, you looked at the date.
Hard saying not knowing. I'm, there's so many of them.
I think the NRCS
My thing is for us, soil erosions is big.
For sure.
That's the whole cover crop. That and water.
Yeah, I tried reading it and I got bored after page 2000.
Okay, so I think that wraps up cover cropping. Greg, you wanna go back to public comment?
Come back to Mike's question. I would suggest that maybe TAC as part of the has kind of two things that they want to say. One is this proposal, and then secondly, they would suggest that we consider reopening the ability to turn off a field, especially given some of the financial circumstances that have faced themselves for some of your farming operations here that have arisen since the January 31st, and that you're requesting the board would consider that and direct staff and ask them to direct staff to look at opportunities, maybe similar to what Lacey had talked about as maybe a one-time opportunity this year, or whether it's an every year opportunity. Again, I don't know which is best, but maybe that's the thing would be really good from TAC that can, again, you are a recognized body to support the GSA. So stuff comes from you formally when you have a quorum meeting is important to the board. It's important because it shows up in minutes. And I think a recommendation from you about this question and the date time is, or the date, would be something that you would want to make a recommendation that staff investigate and bring back some ideas.
We're gonna do it on a 1-year basis. We make the recommendation. Farmer could turn it off up to July 1st.
Yeah.
To go back because of the fuel crisis, a lot of people abandoned their plans
Mhm.
and it was too late to turn it off, and now they're gonna have to go back and fuel by the hundreds.
I sent you a picture, Greg, because I'm very concerned about that field. We have a lot of fields like that. That's why I wanted to send you that picture, or we sent it to Ariel in communication with them. Because it is gonna draw a lot of ET, but in March, we made a big decision not to irrigate what we had. I don't want credit for a cover crop, but we cut off the oak crop. And in March, everything was so dry that the seed fell on the ground, and we don't wanna farm it at all, but then we got the April rains and all that seed germinated. It looks like I have a crop out there, and we don't wanna disc it or not. But it's gonna draw a lot of ET, so I didn't have the ability to turn it off in March when I harvested it.
So we
I think that one of the questions is that particular field, I assume you can provide some documents on what that field is, where it is in your accounting system. It may be a parcel number or something. We could look at it, see what OpenET is saying, see what it would be after you removed effective precip, and see if it is even an issue.
Okay, I'm fine with that. It's just, I believe the ET is gonna be significant on it, because there's a big crop out there. Not enough to harvest, but I don't wanna disc it to create a dust storm, so I just wanted to.
For more fuel and labor.
I mean, yeah, fuel and labor, me, it's more of a wind, it's just a dust storm, sand, we're moving around. So I don't wanna farm nothing, I wanna save the water, when crops are actually worth a little bit, or worthwhile.
Well, we can pass a motion to me and whoever else will go up and make a recommendation if we include this year,
Okay,
extending it to July 1st, I think, would give people 2 weeks basically
Mhm.
to do that. And that's gonna be something they already made the call on anyway. They're already planning.
Yeah.
To do it, so it's not
right,
giving people in your position, the opportunity to turn it off and not have to go to the pump process. I'm gonna be one of the presenters and I'm happy to make that.
I know more people that do the same thing, they're like, hey, man, it's just not worth the water credits, people that understand the water.
And
People that-
then in the future, we could also, and maybe we should talk about this more technically between OpenET and get Greg's opinion out of more than just out of public comment, so we can actually prepare. But talk about moving the date from January 31st to May 1st or May 15th. So after Merced Subbasin, the big thing for a lot of wide area guys is MIDs can have water.
Yeah,
I mean, like 40,000 acre feet is either on the table or off the table.
right,
Can you basically request that as an agenda item for future discussion?
In here.
For in here, yeah.
Should probably do that before we do that.
Yeah.
Doing that part of the date. It's not really
But we might not have another quorum for a year.
That's what I'm getting at, so in my head. Can we also put on the agenda to update the list?
Will be updated in June. I'm gonna pull off 2 members who have not been attending. We're gonna add Eduardo, who has been attending, but he's not here today. So by taking off 2, it removes your quorum from 6 down to 5. But then everybody on your quorum, everybody on your membership list has attended meeting. Like there's nobody else really that you could pull off unless you just start picking off people that, well, you only hit 4 of the 6 meetings last year, so we're gonna drop you. And
I still think that's pretty good
a little
attendance,
harsh.
4 or 6.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
So then you're just down to a list of people who really do show up.
We should be having more forums more often.
Who's all on the list?
Larkin, Michael, we're taking off Randy Edwards, Dave Miller, we're taking off Lou Myers, Blake, Brianne, Brad, Jimmy Atwall, and Ben Crane, and Jimmy Atwall has been coming.
It's been a while.
We don't see him.
I haven't
It's
seen
only
it.
been a couple months. He was here. Well, hey, let's look at the minutes. So we have them all
How
here.
about that?
But he was here, I feel like he was here recently, fairly recently.
Lou.
Yeah, where's Lou at?
Who's contributed that?
He's gonna stay contributing.
Yeah.
He can't do it virtually and he has to be here in person and he lives in Southern California.
Oh, well,
Well, that's,
that makes it difficult. That's a long commute.
Yes.
Further than Dos Pastos.
Jimmy was here in
Yeah,
September.
Fuel got expensive.
So anyway, that's your list.
Can I please, and be very quiet, but I've got some things I want to discuss. Now, please understand, when all these conversations go around, I get a little confused. But my understanding is we've got a closed delineation on GAP. We don't know when we're gonna be able to register riparian or check whether inactive, we've got things inactive or not. Is that correct?
So you can check what you have inactive. That is on GAP. What's been approved as inactive is on GAP. What had been returned back in January, February is on GAP. Right now, the inactive is closed until next January 31st. The discussion here is a recommendation to reopen it mid-year this year to allow people to come in and make things inactive by, what'd you say, July 1st, Brad? That's the discussion right now. The riparian has been approved and the GAP development team, they are creating the functionality to be able to go in and mark things as riparian. It should be fairly easy because it's just adding a new category with certain rules because there are certain sizes that it has to be. And so that should be available soon, but I don't have like a drop dead date of when it's going to be available. I hope in June. I hope it opens up in June. That's my hope, and then leave it open till maybe sometime in September, June, July. Leave it open July, maybe end of August.
How about animal food operations delineation?
Those have all been, the ones that we know about have been delineated in the platform.
Right, but you're saying you can get on GAP and you can find that out. I'm having a hard time with the GAP because they actually, changed its format. And when that happens, it's hard for somebody who doesn't work with a lot to be able to negotiate it. But you're saying,
I'm saying all the dairies and the poultry facilities that we as a GSA know about have been delineated on the platform. If we don't know about it, it's not been delineated.
Lacey, Adriel, I think is.
Oh,
shared something.
Adriel's got his hand up, okay.
I doubt that they've asked me specifically.
They did it off
About
your, they did it off your platform though. You can see it off the area and on an aerial model.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've
So
got,
there was an
I've
email.
got 3 operations that are remote. The dairies don't exist anymore and haven't for 30 years. But if you just look at it on the aerial, it looks like it's a dairy. I don't know.
Can we let Adriel navigate maybe something to help you, Bob? And then separately, maybe we can get a session set up with you and maybe Adriel to just walk through, make sure you're seeing, because if they did change navigation and you're having more challenge finding things, let's help you out. But
Yeah,
So
yeah, go ahead, Adriel.
I just wanted to point out where that delineation is now. So your activity center, when you log in, this is just a demo account I have. So up at the top, there's usage locations, and it does look a little differently. So you can see here, you have a parcel number and then whatever you designated it as. So whether that's irrigated ag or inactive or an animal facility, it'll show up in this view, which is a little different than before. It'll also show if you've had some that are returned. So Bob, you had mentioned that you had designated a bunch of riparian areas. Those will be shown as returned. But the hope is that once the riparian functionality gets added in, we would then just go and edit those and there'd be a place for you to submit those as riparian. So they're not lost and then you don't have to go back in and draw those shapes again. But again, that's a to be determined thing with the groundwater accounting platform, but that is the hope. So it's this usage location up
This
here.
is under activity center.
Yeah, so you go
There you
activity
are.
center, you have all these tabs up here and it's usage locations. And
Usage
it'll show
location.
every parcel you delineated.
All right, animal feed operations, I don't see that
Oh.
there. Is
This
that,
is just
Yeah.
a sample, this is a sample account, so it just didn't have any of that in here. This isn't your account.
Right.
Bob, I sent an email to everybody who had a dairy.
yeah, I know, I saw that.
Yeah, so that was me asking you for your input on where your dairy is, where your dairy facilities are.
Okay. One more question. This is the, on your OpenET remote sensing, the standard form. Effective precipitation's netted out. And is that current, or is it? When we look at those numbers, monthly numbers, is it netted out effective participation? So it's already taken out.
It
that-
should show up, and Adriel can go to this page here also and share. What it should do is, remember, this is all like a bank statement. So January, the end of January, you had so much ET. The end of February, so much ET. The end of March, so much ET. In April, the board made a decision on precip, and so you'd have a bonus precip number that gets added into that account that should be offsetting more than what you just saw in those first 3 months if you haven't applied any irrigation demand to that. And then that accounting just kind of keeps going. And then at some point, you're going to add surface water towards the end of the year. And so you get this annual bank statement-esque type thing that's got entries by a timestamp with a negative or a positive occurring in that account. And you end up at the end of the day, here's what the number is. So that I don't know if they have added, and Adriel, I don't know if you can, if it's on there. I don't know if they've added the effective precip to show that in the statements yet.
No, not yet, but primarily driven because we were anticipating that there was a good amount of rainfall in April and it would get adjusted. So the final number for the year as it is adopted in June would get put in there.
Okay, so right now when you're looking at that, Bob, you're going to just see monthly ET numbers, which are essentially being subtracted out of your account, and then there will be a positive for rain that will occur by sometime in July, probably after approval in June, and then telling the GAP folks, and then they'll make that number in, and it'll show a line item of a positive. So it's kind of a running tally. It isn't a ongoing, hey, we got this much rain this month, and therefore things are adjusting on the fly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, all right, thank you. I'm looking at the accounting for use of alternate source, where alternate source is, that information is given at the end of the irrigation year, and you have to have it by December 15th. That amount of water is subtracted from the consumptive use after applying efficiency factors.
Correct.
Any remaining consumptive use will be subject to the steps, which is the decreasing 5-year allocation budget. Correct?
Correct. It's your rolling 5 years, which has a
Rolling
duration
5-year.
add each, right?
In the case, and I keep arguing a little different, we have nothing but alternate source water. We don't have a well, but the consumptive use on open ET is going to be greater. Let's say it's greater than alternate source. So in that case, you'll be taking away allocated water from the account, correct?
So, yeah, a couple of things are happening here. So you have two choices. If we're going with remote sensing, and I know we've had this discussion on this timing aspect versus metering. If you go with metering, we're just taking your meter reads and we're modifying it by an efficiency factor, and that's what's going to be your consumption. If you have an alternative source, it would be the meter reads plus your alternative source. Those all get added together, and that will address your use. So, sorry, I'm getting myself tangled around on your answer. I'm trying to
Yeah, I'm
answer.
just talking about the total consumptive use that you come up with versus both the alternate source water and any metered water.
Right. So if you have
if those numbers metered and alternate are less than what you feel is the total consumptive use, you're going to take it away from.
Correct. So you'll have a total ET from open ET. You'll take off effective precip. There'll be a new number. If you take out alternative source and it's not at 0, that number is assumed to have been derived from pumping groundwater.
Okay, well, what if there's no well property?
Well,
And that's probably a good appeal if you have a parcel that has no access to groundwater and you applied surface water, but it's showing that it's not enough. And there's groundwater use. That's an appeal. And that's a very legitimate appeal.
Okay, all right. I know these are all details that are going to need to get worked out because
You thought you were gonna retire.
each situation is a little bit.
And Bob, this might be something that as we kind of all go through this, you start finding maybe you want to separate into different allocation management accounts because some have surface water surface water only, some have surface water and groundwater, and you want to minimize that potential because if it only has surface water, then you may just go with that alternative source analysis and meter data.
Okay.
The surface pumping data.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Okie dokie. So I think we've got our next steps for the cover crop. We're gonna put it on the June 11th agenda. It's gonna be Brad and friends. Brad's gonna put together a couple of paragraphs, just a short, it doesn't have to be long, a summary that we can put in the agenda packet. We'll put the language in the agenda packet. It'll be great. It'll be great. Next meeting is July 28th at 2 p.m. And that's it. And that's it, 3:32. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody online.
Is it, there's no,
Hi, Greg. Thank you.
Greg.